are live. It's the Big Play pregame show. I'm Nick Padone. He is Jensen Lewis, getting you guys ready for Game 2 of the American League Championship Series between the Cleveland Guardians and the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Jensen, what's going on, man? Got to bounce back today. That's going to be the name of the show, is got to bounce back today and get everybody ready for this Game 2.
Yeah, we needed a little bit more luck than what we had yesterday, and we already have a roster move to let people know about. Yesterday's starter, Alex Cobb, lower, I believe they're calling it acute left low back strain. That is the specific injury. Ben Lively now added to the active roster here for the rest of the championship series. By and large, bud, we knew coming into this series that you're going to have to deal with some adversity, and lo and behold, it was that third inning. We'll obviously dive a lot more into that. But I think you can look at it one of two ways. Yes, you always want to win Game 1. Yes, you always want to get off to a great start. But I think that's the operative word tonight, is start. And where is Tanner Bybee coming into tonight? You go up against Garrett Cole, who's been absolutely unbelievable in his career against the Guardians, both regular season and postseason. Good to have you here. I know you like it inside, a little bit warmer than what we've had. Good thing they didn't have the first two games yesterday and today here in Cleveland. It would have been an absolute mess weather-wise.
Yeah, it would have been freezing. It is very nice here on the inside of the Lakewood Truck Park, and it's nice to be back with you, Jensen.
Absolutely.
After yesterday, I know you, Dave, Reflog were able to hold it down in the pregame show. I was on kind of a special assignment, and then now we're back in here. I love the Halloween decor in here. I think Amari Cooper wrote "Help" up on the window before the trade earlier today, and lo and behold, Andrew Berry listened to him and got him his wish. We're right out of here from the Lakewood Truck Park on his way down to Buffalo. So maybe that was Amari Cooper. Maybe that's some of the players on the defense that are still hoping to get out of here. But I love the Halloween decor, man. 'Tis the season here at the Lakewood Truck Park, and we'll be live every game throughout the championship series from here 2 hours before first pitch. So looking forward to it. We got a packed show today as well.
Yep, absolutely. And had a chance to visit with Tyler Kepner of The Athletic. Did a great job covering the Yankees, formerly the New York Times. We'll catch up with my buddy Dan Grassa of ESPN in New York coming up in about 10 minutes. But, ultimately, yesterday was one of those feelings of, okay, if you could find a way to score first, if we could get some length at Alex Cobb, you felt like it's there for the taking. I can tell you from pitching as a rookie in old Yankee Stadium, I'm sure Joey Cantillo will not forget that appearance in the third inning, and for obviously many wrong reasons because of how it transpired. But maybe we look back on that later in the series and he has to come back in what we hope is a better scenario. But either way, stars got to be stars, right? That's where the Yankees were yesterday. Soto with a homer, Stanton with a home run. Judge finally gets his first RBI of the postseason. And where are we with Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor? And I think tonight those are the two guys I'd circle right away, that if they're going to even this series, offensively, they got to have a big night.
Yeah, and you look at that ballpark, right? And Guards fans know it best from that 2022 series against New York. That little tiny right field wall. If there was ever a time for Josh Naylor to heat up in this postseason, poke one over that wall, Nails. Maybe not the rock the baby this time around, but I think he could definitely heat up against the Yankees here in Game 2. Like you said, Jensen, if not now, then when? We gotta talk a little bit more about Game 1, especially before we jump into our featured interview on the show. That third inning was really kind of what cost the Guards that game. But to me, Jensen, when I was able to take a look at that game as a whole, I was able to walk away from it and say, you know what? That third inning was horrible. It sucked. Alex Cobb might probably be washed at this point. But the Guards belong. The Guardians belong in this American League Championship Series, and I think there's just a ton of good that they can take away from that loss and kind of propel them through the rest of the series.
Yeah, if you're glass half full, and that third inning, the 4 wild pitches by Cantillo and allowing a few of those runs to come across. So New York plates 3, and probably it felt like 30 at that point because of how the dynamic of the game went. Then it's the next inning, too, for me. And that was probably my first point of inflection as we were watching it, saying, okay, what was Vogt's decision-making behind Cantillo, a guy that's a traditional starter, really no relief appearances whatsoever, and especially in that kind of a spot where, hey, you're coming in with bases loaded, you're coming in having to pound the zone against one of the best left-handers to play the game. Why not go with Pedro Avila, who you just added to the roster? Why not go left on left with an Eric Sabrowski, who has shown you he can handle at least coming into those spots and has had experience doing it in a big league game? That was my first kind of head-scratching moment. Then you move forward, and I'll circle Pedro Avila, because without his 2 2/3, maybe we're in much dire scenarios here going into today's start, and you're asking Tanner Bybee, come hell or high water, you have to cover 5 innings for us, even with an off day tomorrow. But remember, and I think you circle the point, if you're a Guardians fan, yes, it sucked to lose. But if you look after that, outside of the Stanton home run, there was nothing from the Yankee offense. And that's from everyone not named: Clase, Herron, Gaddis, and Smith, which should bode well and should have momentum for these guys headed into tonight.
Absolutely. Jensen, what'd you make of Vogt's decision to roll with Alex Cobb in that game? I know there was a lot of people, hindsight's always 2020, but there was a lot of people in the social media streets as that meltdown was happening earlier in the game, and then they had to go immediately to Cantillo, and then that wasn't much better. What was your kind of reaction that they went with Cobb? I know a lot of people wanted to see Gavin Williams kind of get that game 1 start in New York. What was the thought process that went into that?
You know, Gavin hasn't pitched in a while, and you go back to the end of the regular season. Obviously, we know he didn't pitch in the division series, and that's a long layoff, asking so much of a young starter to get into a game 1 scenario and also have not only the command, but also, you know, that heartbeat to handle what could be some treacherous paths there the first time around the lineup. It ended up being with Alex Cobb, someone who has been there. He has pitched in Yankee Stadium. He has pitched in the postseason. I think they probably went in with 2 ideas, Nick, to be perfectly fair. I don't even think they knew what they could get out of him. So it was probably for Stephen Vogt inning by inning, and we'll react from there. And I had told Dave and Chris yesterday, I said I could completely envision a piggyback scenario where maybe Alex Cobb is 1 time through the lineup.
Yeah.
And then it's Joey Cantillo 1 time through the lineup, and then you read and react from there. So unfortunately, it doesn't go their way from the standpoint of we got kind of the scenario I thought, but not the way that I thought it would transpire. So can't do anything about yesterday, but the bullpen is saved because of what Avila, what Sabrowski did. Thinking about also Eli Morgan and Andrew Walters at the end of the game. You feel good about Andrew Walters getting back on the horse. Remember the 5th inning against Detroit. Oh, boy, welcome to the postseason, my friend. And I think that was good for him in enemy territory to get a clean inning, feel good about himself again.
Yeah, 100%. And Jensen, the biggest thing there that you said was Pedro Avila came in and saved the day.
Huge.
For our guards. Those were huge innings, and I love the meme that's out there on social media where it's, him eating the gigantic cheeseburger and it's eating innings, because that's what he does when he gets in there. And if you're a Guards fan looking for reason to be optimistic for this game 2 against the Yankees, it's that the meat of your bullpen, the guys that got you to this point and through that American League Division Series against the Yankees, against the Tigers, they're all ready to go. Cade Smith's going to be ready to go if needed for this game, and I imagine they're going to need him after Tanner.
You would undoubtedly think we see Cade, we see Hunter Gaddis, and we see Tim Herron. And for all intents and purposes, you probably see Clase whether they're winning or losing, just because you've got to get him in and you've got to get him a little touch feel and some work to be right on schedule. I think the statistic that stands out to me most, and not only last night, uncharacteristic to see our guys, 7 walks, and a lot of those obviously in the first handful of innings there between Cobb and Cantillo. The Yankees overall in 5 postseason games, so 4 against the Royals and then last night, they have 36 walks. So do the math. They're averaging 7 a game. That's absolute insanity. You're not going to beat anybody if you're issuing that many free passes to that lineup. So I think the thing tonight, first and foremost, it is absolute precision from Tanner Bybee. Go into attack mode and make sure that you're forcing that Yankee team to hit their way on. You issue free passes, you're asking for trouble. It could be another long night.
Another thing for tonight as well, hey, no more wild pitches. Could we stay away from the wild pitches, Jensen? God. I've never seen anything like that.
I don't think I have either, and all within 1 inning. The last time, ironically, you bring it up, was Rick Ankiel. Remember when he lost complete control, had the yips after that, and that was just uncomfortable for us pitchers to watch, because when you get the thing, you can't get rid of it. I don't think that's the case with Cantillo. But on the flip side there, Bo Naylor, an uncharacteristically bad defensive night. And even Austin Hedges, couldn't get to a wild pitch. So hopefully that's all out of the way. These guys got their command back, and they're going to need it because the pressure is on for them to put up some zeros early.
100%. Dude, you mentioned before that new Yankee Stadium, not quite the same as old Yankee Stadium, but a piece of me wondered, with all the wild pitches, with, Bo Naylor just having a really bad night behind the dish, I wondered if the bright lights of New York and their first real night game kind of got to them just a smidge.
To me, it was interesting listening to Hammy driving back here, from last night, and he said there's not that energy you would anticipate for an American League Championship Series Game 1, which I was taken aback by. Wow, it's usually they're rocking and ready to go. It was almost like they were taking Cleveland for granted last night, the way it was going. But a lot of empty seats early. They ended up filling in. The damage was done. That third inning, they never looked back, and they were able to put it away.
Alrighty, we've got a very special guest joining us now on the Big Play pregame show from ESPN New York. It's Mr. Dan Graca. Dan, thanks so much for joining us. How you doing?
Guys, I'm doing great. Nothing like it this time of year. It's not like there's a lack of any big sports going on here in this city, that's for sure. But how you guys doing?
Buddy, I know I was texting you today. Hell of a 24 hours for you. Just when we thought Devontae Adams was going to be the only news, we can get our Browns part of this segment out of the way. Amari Cooper now going to Buffalo, and I know you just watched that game in the Meadowlands last night. How about that, buddy? What a domino effect for both those teams.
They say it's a copycat league, right, Jalen? Right? Jets go out there and get a wide receiver. And I thought, one of the trickle-down effects of the Jets getting Devontae Adams was that you blocked Buffalo and Josh Allen from getting a true number one receiver.
Right.
And then fast forward a few hours later, they go out and get Amari Cooper. I don't know. I'm going to start sleeping in on Tuesdays because last Tuesday the Jets fire Robert Saleh. Today they trade for Devontae Adams. I'm trying to get some rest, but this team is always making news on Tuesdays. That's supposed to be the off day.
All right, we'll get you a few layups then here, and I know how you feel about the Yankees overall, and knowing that both the Yankees and the Mets now just 3 wins away apiece from creating a Subway Series. But ultimately, as you looked at yesterday coming in, anything that stood out to you first and foremost about how the Yankees went about going after Alex Cobb and this Cleveland bullpen? And then did you feel that Stephen Vogt could have gone a different way instead of Cantillo coming into the third inning trying to get out of that jam?
I mean, look, there's no other way around it. I mean, Cantillo had a welcome to postseason baseball moment on the big stage. I mean, the only thing that I can compare that to, at least in my lifetime of watching postseason baseball, I mean, that gave me like Rick Ankiel feels, from back in the day when he was with the St. Louis Cardinals. Yep. That was in 2000, and he had that meltdown on the mound where he just couldn't find the plate. He had the yips, whatever you call it, but he didn't last much longer as a big league pitcher after that. Not that the same fate is going to apply here to Cantillo, but that was rough. And look, I mean, look at what Cobb did starting out, followed by Cantillo. I mean, you walk that many guys in the first couple of innings of a game, and then, oh, by the way, they come around and score. I mean, you're digging yourself a hole. You know that. The thing that kind of, I don't know if it was a shocker, guys, that kind of surprised me with that game, though, last night was how well Rodon pitched, to be quite honest with you. Because remember, when we saw him in the last round against the Kansas City Royals, he kind of petered out that second time through the order because he came out on that mound. He had so much energy in that first inning. He struck out the side. He's almost doing like dances.
He had the greenies.
Shimmies. Yeah, a little bit, right? I mean, we said he kind of like just blew the tank there in that first inning.
Yeah.
And then he kind of like petered out emotionally. So I think that was big for the Yankees that he pitched as well as he did. And you turn it over to that bullpen. I mean, guys, that was one of the concerns, I think, of how this bullpen would perform in October. But this new formula with Holmes in the 7th inning, last night it was Hill in the 8th, but we've seen Canely there, and then turning it over to Luke Weaver in the 9th inning. I mean, it's been almost flawless.
Yeah. What'd you make out of the Mets evening up this series now 1-1? I think a lot of people are excited about that series when you look out, west and what we thought it could be, a rematch of the Subway Series, if you will. So many people are talking about that nationally, but now the Mets evened up with the Dodgers.
Well, I was surprised, guys, because, I mean, if you read Twitter and all the baseball experts there, I thought the Dodgers won the series on Sunday night. I mean, I thought it was best of 7, but a lot of people thought it was best of 1. I mean, they were giving the Dodgers the pennant after that first game. So, I mean, give Francisco Lindor a hell of a lot of credit. A leadoff home run. It kind of reminded me, I'm dating myself, what Lenny Dykstra did Game 3 of the 86 series. They were down 2-0 to the Red Sox. They go to Fenway. He hits a leadoff home run. Mets go on and win Game 3, Game 4, and, of course, we all know how it ended. But Lindor setting the tone. And, look, there were some hairy moments there. Let's not kid ourselves. When it was 6-3 and the Mets were booting the ball around in that 6th inning, it was sweated out time to get those final 9 outs. But hey, this team did what they had to do. They got a split, and those next 3 days at Citi Field are going to be pretty electric. I can promise you that.
Yeah, Dan Grassa of ESPN New York, you can only imagine when Luis Severino toes the hill tomorrow night what Citi Field is going to look like. It'll be bedlam for sure. I think that's probably what Cleveland Guardian fans, DG, are hoping for from Tanner Bybee to get it back to Cleveland in a Thursday afternoon till likely Matthew Boyd. Your key for Cleveland tonight, it can be, on the mound, it can be in the lineup. If the Guardians are going to even this series, what do you need to see from them tonight?
Well, look, Cleveland's in a good spot tonight, right? Because your bullpen is pretty well rested, at least your big four. Stephen Vogt didn't have to go to those guys, so they've had a couple of days off after the emotional drain of everything that happened on Saturday. So I don't think it would be a bad thing getting to your bullpen, but I would like to see a little bit of length out of Bybee, right? I mean, it would be nice if he pitches into the 6th inning for one of these playoff starts. I mean, call me old-fashioned, but I like to see my starting pitchers go a little bit deeper into games. And another thing is, my God, don't let Giancarlo Stanton beat you.
Oh, man.
I mean, we're all looking at number 99, waiting for him to get going in the month of October, but Stanton has just been nothing short of phenomenal. And what his presence has done, you know what you're getting out of Soto. Stanton's turned into the Incredible Hulk again. And, I mean, you have to think that at some point, Aaron Judge is eventually going to wake up and look like the MVP that he is in the month of October. But just the Stanton presence alone lengthens this lineup and makes it that much more dangerous at the most important time of the year.
ESPN's Dan Grassa is our guest. Dan, appreciate you joining us. Last one from me. Nationally, a lot of the national media, similar to what you guys put up with the Mets-Dodgers series, said the Yankees preferred this path. They preferred the American League Central opponent, whether it have been the Tigers or the Guardians. As a Mets fan, potentially out there looming in the shadows of a World Series matchup, who would you rather face in the World Series, the Guardians or the Yankees?
It's kind of like the same question a little bit, when it was Dodgers-Padres Game 5 in the NLDS. Like, who would you rather face in the NLCS? Bring it on. Either way. You know what I mean? Look, if you're going to be a championship team, you're going to have to beat some quality competition along the way. So you beat whoever's in front of you. Look, I think I'm old enough certainly to remember what the Subway Series was like 24 years ago, and it was just... It was kind of like a lot friendlier version of the Civil War, let's put it that way, brother against brother. You had households divided. You would be in your car, you'd pull up to a red light, you'd look over, and somebody's car would either have Met stuff or Yankee stuff on it. It was really crazy. And the fact that we're, a combined 6 wins away from that happening, I think that would be pretty cool. But you know what? Look, if it ends up being the Cleveland Guardians and the Yankees fall short of the World Series, I'm not going to be shedding too many tears, if you know what I'm saying, because, the Yankees look at it one way in this town is they're supposed to win the World Series, right? It's World Series or bust for the Yankees. So I will say if they don't get to the Fall Classic, the season's a major disappointment for them.
All right, Dan, Cleveland wins tonight because of blank. The Yankees go up 2-0 tonight because of blank.
Cleveland wins tonight because of, well, number one, how about Jose Ramirez getting going a little bit, right? I mean, we talk about it with Judge with the Yankees. I mean, Ramirez is too darn good a player that at this time of year, you need your best players to carry you through. How about Ramirez breaking out of a slump? I'll give you that as my Cleveland Guardians X factor. And number two, the Yankees win tonight. The Yankees win tonight guys, just the same formula that they've been rolling with. You get 5-6 innings out of Garrett Cole, you turn it over to your bullpen, and generally that's been a good formula for them. I mean, as this regular season has kind of came to its climax here with baseball with the Yankees, here in New York, we talked about the issues they were having closing. And ultimately, Clay Holmes gets demoted despite the fact he was an all-star. So they turn the closers all over to Luke Weaver. Guys, he has not given up an earned run since he was made the closer the first week of September. He's struck out half the batters he has faced, and he's doing it with 2 pitches, fastball, changeup. That's it. He's looking like number 42, Enter Sandman, running out of that bullpen in the 9th inning, and that's not supposed to be the case. But, I mean, if you're the Yankees, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's my key.
We're used to seeing a man in the 9th inning with just 2 pitches look very similar to old number 42, as you well know at the Manuel Clase. Buddy, thank you so much for taking the time. Enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy what it will be just an unbelievable atmosphere for Game 3 and the rest of the NLCS as well.
Guys, appreciate it anytime, and let's hope the Guards get this one tonight and lengthen this series a little bit. It'd be a lot of fun.
Would love to see it.
Would be super fun. Huge thanks to Dan Grassa, ESPN New York, for hopping on and joining us. What a crazy day he's had, literally start to finish. How about this, dating back to last night with that Jets versus Bills, and then all of the news that's followed today. Crazy 24-hour period for Dan.
And crazy to think, too, that you thought that the Jets were all in for Rodgers and kind of where this season was in a span of 7 days. Who now is calling the shots here after you get rid of your head coach? You thought that the OC was going to be out and Hackett, and that's Rodgers' boy. And now Woody Johnson says, okay, I mean, we're in for this much. We might as well go in for the rest. They're going to take all of Devontae Adams' contract. And then, of course, right after that, the domino effect with Amari Cooper. I tell you, it's a good thing we got Guards baseball to take our mind off that tonight.
It is. It's very nice. It's nice, too, that the Browns at least pulled that stunt at 2 o'clock and not right now as we're doing
Thank
this.
God.
Yeah, cleanse everyone's palates. We've had 4 or 5 hours to completely flush it because we are ready for some postseason Guards. Game 2 tonight, it's a huge one, Jensen, because if you could tie this thing back at 1-1, very similar to what we were just talking about with Dan, and you're able to flip this thing back over to Cleveland with Matt Boyd likely starting Game 3, that's just a massive advantage because we know that place is going to be packed. I'm talking about Progressive Field for Game 3. Everybody's going to be wearing their red, and the fans are going to be ready to go to welcome these guys back to town regardless, but especially at a 1-1 tie in this championship series.
And they're up against some pretty daunting statistics. If you think about just the Game 1 winner in the 2-3-2 format here for best of 7, 66 of the previous 99 times, so basically 2/3 of the time, the team that wins Game 1 moves on. It gets worse when you go to Game 2. 84% of teams that go up 2-0 in the best of 7 end up winning the series. So I know the only true must-win game is Game 7 or an elimination game in which if you lose, your season's over. But the numbers don't lie. And so it's going to have to be a pretty big effort from the entire team if they're going to even up this series.
Yeah, and they've got to get that done tonight. Like you said, I would look for this team to start hot. You know, get out fast, jump out fast, jump out to a lead. We talked about it all throughout the division series, Jensen. Not really pressing or playing panicked, but having and feeling that sense of urgency that you know that you've got to get runs on the board. It's nice, and we'll talk about it. The Guards have had a little bit of success and a little bit of success with the deep ball against Garrett Cole in the past. I love that for Jose. I love that for Naylor. Even Quan's got one off of Garrett Cole. But that's going to be my biggest thing. If you could go out and score early in this Game 2, I love the Guards' chances with Bibee on the mound. And like I said, you got the beef of that bullpen waiting and ready to get out there in the Bronx to finish this game.
It feels like 2 separate games within one tonight, and that first is the first 3 innings and basically your first time around the order, not only for Tanner Bibee tonight, but for Garrett Cole, who has just been utterly untouchable in his postseason career, 4-0 with a sub-2 ERA against the Cleveland Guardians there in 4 such starts. I also echo your sentiments there. Like, if you want to find a way to upset the apple cart here, kind of as Dan Grassa alluded to, the formula has been basically 6 innings from the Yankee starter, handed off to a Tommy Kahnle or a Clay Holmes. Those guys bridge to Luke Weaver, who's been nearly untouchable since the first week of September. That's been their formula, and get something from Juan Soto, something from Giancarlo Stanton, and then the supporting cast, as you and I talked about. It's basically taking Soto and Judge out. The rest of the team is the Miami Marlins. So outside of Stanton, there's been no other damage done in the last handful of games. I should say Stanton and Soto. Those are your 2 guys you circle in the lineup. However, you don't want Garrett Cole just pinning his ears back to high cheese and then be able to go off of that, because when he gets in that kind of groove like he did in Game 4 against the Kansas City Royals, good luck. That's why he's the best in the game.
And with Tanner Bibee on the mound, I like my chances against the Miami Marlins. You got to try to find a way to neutralize Judge and Soto, but there's nobody that I'd rather have in this pivotal Game 2 than Tanner Bibee. In a very similar fashion, Jensen, he was able to tie up that series in Game 4 against Detroit. I wonder if that plays in the background of his mind a little bit of, okay, the stakes are a bit higher, but the scenario, kind of similar. I'm keeping my ball club alive in a best-of-7 series a little bit longer. Game 2, a lot less stressful than a must-win elimination Game 4. But I think Bibee's going to be up to the task because his last time out, he had to pitch well. He had to do what he did. I think he does it again tonight.
And he didn't have his best stuff, if you will, the command of at least the fastball, erratic that first time around. And he really had to work hard to try and navigate through, those innings that he did pitch. So tonight you just have less room for error, knowing that your ballpark is dimension-wise cut in half as far as distance down the line. Comerica, you got a chance to make some mistakes and maybe get away with it in the gaps. That's not going to happen at Yankee Stadium tonight. So fast start, that's why I say you cut it into basically 2 games. You got to win the first 3 innings, and then maybe it's holding on for dear life with a rested bullpen and trying to get it across the finish line.
We talked about, the erraticness of Tanner Bybee before he went out there, and you had mentioned that sometimes that's a good thing to see in the first couple batters, a little bit of wildness, because that means that as they settle into the game, they can truly do that. They can settle in to the rest of their hitters, whereas if they're completely dialed out of the gate, it's like, this isn't good because it could all fall apart at the seams thereafter. Kind of similar thought tonight for Tanner. We're not pressing the panic button if the first 2 or 3, his command's not super dialed in yet, or is it different tonight against New York?
Probably a little bit different for me, and just knowing that a lot is predicated off what happens in the top of the first.
Yeah.
If you have the 1-0 lead, or if you have, let's hope that Kwani doubles and Hosey homers or something like that, it will be Kyle Manzardo, the lefty, starting in the DH spot in that 2 slot. But yeah, I think more than anything, if you can find a lead before he throws a pitch, that in and of itself is your best case scenario. So that allows you that opportunity to kind of just go attack Gleyber Torres. If he wants to swing first pitch, fine, and be able to go attack Juan Soto, who's probably going to be a little more patient. Judge, they've held in check, and really he's been held in check most of this postseason. If you even go back, Nick, the last couple of times that Cleveland and New York have matched up, they have great numbers against Judge. But the one thing I told you, too, is Judge has seen Cleveland pitching the best he's seen of any team this year. And so something's got to give. And you hope it's the former, where Tanner is dominating and able to keep Judge at bay.
And then I'll take it one step further. I hope it's the Guardians offense that really figures it out and figures out how to hit in Yankee Stadium. I mean, it's an advantage for New York, and that stadium pissed a lot of people off in 2022 just because they were hitting fly balls that were going all the way up into the second deck. But both teams are on offense in the same stadium. That's the great part about the game of baseball. So for Jose, for Naylor, I look for them to get after Garrett Cole in this one because they have the same advantage of that short right field wall.
And you look at the numbers, and Jose, 353, 3 doubles, triple, and 2 homers in his career off Cole. Josh Naylor, yes, we all remember the Rock the Baby homer, one of his 3 that he has hit against Garrett Cole. 3 of his 6 hits have gone over the fence. And then Steven Kwan, as you said, also has a homer off him as well. Here's my hope, is that there is kind of the flip. Like, Cole's just a little erratic to start, and they can try and push one across where once an ace settles in, hard to derail him. And same to be said for Tanner Bybee. You hope for a lead and a quick 1-2-3 so Tanner can get the offense back out there. First 3 innings, I draw the line there. If you're even, okay, not bad. If you're ahead, obviously that's great. If you're behind by more than 1, oh boy. Yeah, that's where I think you panic a little bit.
Okay, I just feel so good about the Guards' chances today. And I'm definitely not trying to say that they, punted game 1. But it just felt like with sending Cobb out there and the way that they had to unload the clip, if you will, to win that game 5 against Detroit, you had the 1 day off, but then you immediately jump in with both feet to this new Yankee series. It feels like now the Guards have really been able to reset. Now you've got your ace out there. You've got the meat of your bullpen rested. We didn't see much, I should say, last night from Jose, from Naylor. It feels like your big guns are ready today when you need them the most. And maybe that's me just waxing poetic a little bit and being a little bit optimistic, but it just feels like it was always set up for game 2 for the Guards today.
You wonder if they didn't have to play game 5, if they had been able to end it in 4 like the Yankees did and had. And I know people are like, well, what's the difference about 24 hours? Well, the difference is that knowing Smith and Gaddis, those guys had to go multiple frames in multiple games in a 3-day span. It's hard to ask those guys to come back on back-to-back days, because now you start extrapolating it out, Nick, where you got guys up for 4 of 6 days, 5 of 7. You're asking for trouble after a boatload of innings already from the regular season. So he had to try and maybe shoot the moon a little bit with some of the undercard bullpen guys. And that's why I still go back to, what does that game look like? If it's not Joey Cantillo coming
Right.
in that situation, if it is Sabrowski, and even in such an emotional point, maybe you just have him in there to finish the inning and get out of it. And then if you wanted Cantillo to start a clean inning just like he'd be starting a game, that to me felt more of a logical way to go about it.
Yeah.
So, hey, as I said, you can't do anything about it. But Pedro Avila, I'll say it again, if the Guardians even this series because they had the ability now for Stephen Vogt to go extend the A arms of the bullpen without having to use more resources last night, he'll be one of the key reasons why they're able to even it out.
All right, last thing about last night before we turn the page to today and get you guys excited for Game 2. There's a lot of people out there that are poking a little bit at Voter, saying that he overmanaged it a bit. Maybe, the decision, like you were just mentioning, to go to Joey right there in the logjam that Cobb created wasn't the best move. And then even late in the game, the decision to take the bat out of Fry's hands, went to Will Brennan. That was a horrible at-bat. We could just leave that there. A lot of people kind of poking at Voter this morning and throughout today. Here's my thing, Jensen. It's a rookie manager. He's been learning on the job all year. He's been able to learn on the job while winning all year. And there's no reason for me to believe that this has all been some sort of aberration, that he's not going to be able to figure it out, learn from whatever mistakes might have happened yesterday, and be able to correct that and be a better manager and have a better ball club in Game 2 today against the Yankees.
I think what stings a little bit more is that you had to, or he went to Manzardo earlier, where you're hoping to at least have one other bullet to fire instead of it being Austin Hedges and Daniel Schneemann at the bottom of the lineup. Taking nothing away from Schneemann, who's been very solid, but I mean the difference between Brennan and Manzardo and those two guys, you've limited your bench a little bit at that point to not have anything to counteract. I really wonder if you had both Brennan and Manzardo in the ninth, if you saved them both, what does that look like for your opportunities to come back? Who knows? That is what it is at this point. But you're right, learning experience here now where, okay, we figured out what we needed to. We also forced Luke Weaver to have to throw in the eighth inning and sit down and come back up for the ninth. What does he look like potentially in a late inning close game scenario? There is something to be said. I've told you this throughout the year. Hardest thing for a reliever to do, go in with the adrenaline, get out of a big-time spot, sit down, get back up, and recreate it, and then be able to be as effective. So we'll see. Something to keep an eye on if the Yankees perhaps have the lead late and he's called upon for another multi-inning
And
save.
we've talked about it, Jensen. Explain to the people, it's just so different and difficult because those guys aren't starters. They're not used to going in there, sitting with the guys, watching the bats, then going back out there. It's a heart rate element as well. You got to build your heart rate back up, and it's just a completely different thing for relievers to do, especially kind of late game closers to go out there and do in a high pressure playoff setting.
What might be a difference is that if you remember, Luke Weaver, just like Hunter Gaddis, converted starter. And in his mind, at least he knows how to draw back on, this was my routine when I started. And that's what Hunter Gaddis, I think, did so well and so seamlessly from the first outing this season when he was basically thrust into that leverage setup spot. I also look at it, too, from being there of these postseason innings, yes, it's one inning, but it feels like two with the amount of energy and the mental focus it takes to get through it. So on the box score, it'll be an inning and 2/3 for Luke Weaver, but it's probably
in the
more
heart
like,
and in the brain.
It's probably more like 2+, maybe 3.
Wow.
So anxious to see how that bounce back is tonight, and then also what is the leash? What is the leash for Stephen Vogt? Let's say it's a 2-run, deficit. I mean, how long do you stick with Tanner? So a lot at play here. That's why I'll draw the line at the third inning. Wherever we are after that, and then for the 6 innings that follow, 2 games in 1 tonight.
I love that analogy. 2 games for the Guardians tonight for Game 2 at Yankee Stadium. First pitch set for 7:38. You're listening to the Big Play pregame show live on social media, YouTube, Twitter. Throw us a follow at Big Play. You would follow him at JLou50. I'm at Nick Padone12. Having a lot of fun hanging out here at the Lakewood Truck Park. We're brought to you guys today by our friends over at Lipton Hard Iced Tea. Hey, straight ahead, we're going around the NLCS. It was awesome talking to Dan a little bit about what's going on in that Mets-Dodgers series, but I got to hear from Jensen what's going on and what could a potential World Series look like. More of the Big Play pregame show straight ahead. Welcome on back into the Big Play pregame show. We're live at Lakewood Truck Park, getting you guys ready for Game 2 of the American League Championship Series between the Cleveland Guardians and the New York Yankees. Guys, it's Nick Padone here for Universal Windows Direct, a proud partner of your Cleveland Guardians. October is here. You know what that means. It's playoff baseball, but it also means that it's the perfect time to replace those old drafty windows before these temperatures start to drop. You know the cold weather is coming, Cleveland, and you don't want to be stuck with windows that make your heating system work overtime. Universal Windows Direct's exclusive Super Spacer technology helps keep your home insulated, saving you money on your energy bills and keeping you warm all winter long. Plus, Universal Windows Direct backs it up with a true lifetime warranty as long as you own your home and 20 years to the next homeowner. So call Universal Windows Direct today, 216-243-6648. For every 2 windows that you buy, get 2 windows for free. Buy 2, get 2. Buy 4, get 4. Buy 20, get 20 windows for free. There's no limit on this, plus 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years that you don't have to worry about your windows. Updating your windows with Universal Windows Direct is the best thing that you guys are going to do this winter. Consistent temperature throughout your home, increased energy efficiency, reduced heating and cooling costs, plus a quieter and more comfortable home. Again, that phone number to call, 216-243-6648 to schedule your free in-home estimate today. And for 2 windows you buy, you're going to get the next 2 free, plus 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years. Restrictions apply for the last windows that you're ever going to need. Universal Windows Direct, UWD.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows. Jensen, what is going on, man? It's Game 2 of the American League Championship Series. I love playing the Yankees. There's nothing quite like playoff baseball in October, playing the Yankees in New York. It's awesome. They are Cleveland's rival. I know they like to look at Boston and say, you know, that's the real rivalry. I don't know. Cleveland and New York, these ball clubs have a lot of history. We're going to go elsewhere around baseball. What did you think of that when you played? Who did you kind of view as the Guardians' rival, at that time, Indians' rival? Especially as you guys had a couple playoff runs.
You know, ironically, we just beat Detroit in the division series, and they were sort of the team, and as well as Minnesota, but probably in geographical closeness, if you will. I think it was Detroit, and remember, that was when it was Justin Verlander, it was Max Scherzer, David Price. I mean, there was, you know, some heady guys in that rotation. You know, the likes of Miggy Cabrera in his prime, and Torrey Hunter coming back over from Minnesota, Detroit. Victor Martinez at one point, my teammate over with Detroit. But yeah, I think that was right there. And then, you know, the Yankees were that team that when you went to Old Yankee Stadium and you were able to walk through and just soak up the history, I think that was still my favorite part of it, where I took enough time to realize where we were and you know, the hallowed cathedral that it was. I don't know if I'll ever be able to beat that postseason, though, of winning in Old Yankee Stadium in the division series and winning that series. And then your championship series starts at Fenway Park. I mean, you have 2 of the most historic ballparks in our game's history. And to do that at the ripe old age of 23, I think that will be something I carry with me for the rest of my life. But what these guys are going to, a little more consumer heavy on the new Yankee Stadium build. Not as much history there yet, although they do have at least 1 World Series championship under their belt. But I know these guys are enjoying the moment, and it is a different feel to it when that stadium gets full, because if you remember, Nick, Old Yankee Stadium, 62,000 was the capacity there. It's nowhere near where New Yankee Stadium is, so it's a difference. And trust me, even from Jacobs Field to Progressive Field, going from 45,000 to 37,000, 8,000 makes a difference. It really does. So these guys will be getting their feet wet, and everyone will remember where they were these first couple of days.
How about this one too, Jensen? Good baseball equals good ratings. You see the ratings report came out earlier today, and lo and behold, would you believe, people tuned in to this MLB postseason at a tremendous clip.
I think it went over, I want to say the division series in and of itself is up like 20% from where it was last year. And I know everyone kind of looking at the conspiracy theorist of what happened on Saturday, saying, oh, well, Ohio State, Oregon at 7:30, our first pitch was at 8. No, the winner take all, actually, for just Padres, Dodgers, I think was like $3.5 million or $7 million or whatever it was. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series between the Mets and the Dodgers was $8.5 million.
Crazy.
$8.5 million. Now, for those that want comparisons, okay, when you get to the 4 o'clock windows for the NFL, you're looking at those kind of numbers for the marquee matchups. If you go to Thanksgiving Day, I think last year the Cowboys game was 20 million, something like that. I mean, those are gargantuan numbers, but just to think that, baseball, and they love having the New York and LA markets, that certainly helps. But just around this entire postseason, wild card round, divisional series, and now just a couple of games into the league championship series, baseball in a good spot.
Yeah, and you think, too, these games have all been quality. Yep. So the people that have tuned in at such a great clip, they're getting a great product. Mm-hmm. And that encourages you to, hey, I'm going to keep tuning in because what I saw was crazy and I want to see more of that. And I think it's great for the sport what this postseason's given us.
Not having all the sweeps, too, where, you did have to have a winner-take-all game in the wild card series. You did have 2 winner-take-alls in the division series to bridge the gap. Like, we haven't had an off day of baseball. We've had at least one game here for a good 9 to 10 days, and that's great news. And also the wrinkle, remember, if both league championship series end, I think, at Game 5, they can move the World Series up by 3 days. So you don't have a super long layoff, which hurts both teams, to be quite honest. And if one team has to take longer rest than the other, it's a disadvantage. Trust me, in 2007, when we had to go 7 games, the Rockies had swept the Diamondbacks in the LCS, the National League side. They waited 9 days. That's an eternity.
Yeah.
And you saw that the Red Sox eventually go on and sweep them. We were like, okay, we just played our World Series. Whoever was going to go play them was going to have such a huge advantage. So I think that's been great news for the sport itself. I'll ask you the question, because I asked it to both Dave and Reflog yesterday. We do have a March Madness style right now on the wild card round where it's 1, it's 4, it's 6, and 8.
Yeah.
Would you be in favor more of still having kind of that segue? I put it out there as kind of a Sweet 16 format.
Okay.
Where we get through, you got so many games to the NCAA tournament, a little bit of an outlier the first 2 rounds. You got all the games to get through. Baseball, you have at Sweet 16 to start.
Yeah.
Would you be in favor more of games in the wild card round not starting before 6 o'clock? If you had, let's call it a 6:05 first pitch, and then maybe a 7:10, and then an 8:20 or a 9:40, kind of have those different start times, but be able to bounce around. Because let's face it, we're all doing it. We're all doing it for the NFL anyway on one day. Is that something you'd be in favor for?
I think similarly to March Madness, the D-Gen in me kind of likes having day baseball.
Okay.
I get that the stakes are higher, and it would be nice to play those games under the lights.
Would you go to 4? 4 is your earliest start time instead of 1.
I think so.
Okay.
I think I do that. I like having something. I like how it is now, man, where you've got games all throughout the day.
All right.
Really do. I would leave it alone. I think baseball playoffs, like when you look at what the NBA does, where pretty much now every team gets in during, do the play-in tournament, which I think is good because it, you have less of a reason to tank now. So I get all that. And then NFL playoffs are expanded now, too. I really think baseball has it figured out. I would just leave it alone. I really would.
And do you like the best of 3 for the wild card, removing the winner-take-all?
I do, yeah, because I think that winner-take-all is weird because who knows what happened in game 161 or 162 where, you could be at a disadvantage in that winner-take-all. You've got one game, season's on the line. I'd keep it 3.
Okay.
I think that's the right number. And then, because then you got the progression. You go 3, 5, 7,
right. Do you think because of how our postseason is formatted, where the longest series we play in the regular season is 4, and then we get to 5 and 7, because it's something that we may come up with in collective bargaining here in a couple years, and we are likely looking at expansion to 32 teams, which would allow ownership to redraw the league maps, and perhaps we go to 4 divisions. Maybe we can truncate it down to 2.
And we talked about that. I'm bringing the heat and made a little bit of noise on what that could look like for our Guardians and the Reds and little AFC North turn baseball.
What a great geographical division that could be.
Awesome.
If you had basically, you could. I don't know how much Baltimore would want it, but geographically, if you had Detroit, if you had the Tigers, the Reds, us, and the Pirates,
It'd be awesome.
Pretty damn good.
It'd be a ton of fun. And obviously, there's a lot that needs to happen through collective bargaining and stuff. But, yeah, that'd be cool.
I think that's something to think about, too, moving forward, is you're going to get expansion in the postseason. Then you're probably going – we got a little peek of it in the pandemic season where you had 8 teams in.
Yeah.
Would you still be in favor, though, of top 2 records get a bye? And however they work out, how the rest of those teams would work it out. I mean, it would be uneven. They'd have to figure, those rounds.
Right.
I almost like having to play that first series. But if you're going to do it, this is what I always never understood. Okay, hockey's best of 7 all the way through.
Yeah.
Right? Would you make wild card if the 1 seeds had to play, 1 and 2 seeds had to play? Best of 5 wild card, best of 5 divisional. And then do you go 7? You know who would love it is the TV networks because you get more money.
Games. Yeah.
But do you feel that's overkill?
A little bit.
Okay.
That's a little bit almost like, and not to throw shit, I love the NBA. It's a little NBA to me. And obviously they're all 7.
They're so spread
and they're
out.
very spread out.
Yeah.
But like you said, and I think too, at the end of the day, we know money's going to talk.
Sure.
So I mean, if that's something that they lay out in the dollars and cents makes sense, where they're like, hey, we could have a wild card round be best of 5, they'd be like, sure, where do we sign up, But I really do think, present day pre-expansion, I like for next year and, the years that follow, completely hands off.
Okay.
I think baseball right now, and I think the ratings are starting to show,
Sure.
have it figured out. Just leave it alone. The NBA is such a mess because the first round outcomes before you even tune in.
Right.
Whereas the wild card, look, every year there's huge upsets.
Yeah.
This year, the Dodgers, we were talking, the Dodgers were on the ropes.
Yep.
Obviously now they're, very close to making the World Series and look like they have the arsenal to do so. But I really would leave it alone. NBA, you got. This year, the Pistons could play the Boston Celtics in the round 1, and you that's going to be over in 4 games. And what's really the entertainment value there?
Yeah, there's not. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought it up. But, something I'd thought about, too, as you move through, because, again, trying to grow the game and seeing where people are most – and I brought up to Reflog. I said, okay, well, we didn't get any primetime games until we got to the championship series. I mean, how fair is that?
Yeah.
I would like them to rotate it so
It would be cool.
everyone gets an opportunity.
It would be cool because too, Jensen, even if, the Guardians had a great year and then they were never going to get one of those primetime slots.
No chance.
It was just never going to happen. It would take Cleveland having a Shohei Ohtani type player for them to even consider. Maybe then they'd start considering putting them in a primetime slot. It's just something that's never going to happen when the rest of the big markets get in. That is okay, I'm with you there. One thing that I would like to see tweaked, you got to make it a little bit fair so we get a couple games under the lights.
Right.
Because Game 5, we thought we were going to have it, and then even that got moved up.
Mother Nature. No night games until you really, really have to.
Too much. All right, we got to look around baseball. It's been fun to do this. Obviously, now there's only one other series going on as 4 teams remain. It's the Mets. It's the Dodgers. Game 1, Dodgers destroy the Mets, 9-0. The thought was really kind of creeping into the back of my mind, did the Met magic run out? Was Grimace not walking through that door anymore? And it was all over for New York. But no, they were able to come back with the haymaker of their own right. In the first couple innings of that game, too, it was like, holy cow, are the Dodgers back on the ropes? And we were just talking about what's made this playoff so fun and so special. What do you make of this series? Because now we've seen 2 heavyweights, really, in the Mets and the Dodgers, and they've done it kind of 2 different ways where the Mets have had to storm back into the playoff picture and then really make their hay in the postseason. The Dodgers were expected to be here. What do you make of this? Because really it seems like a heavyweight fight right now where these guys are just throwing blows back and forth.
No, if the Guardians watched anything from yesterday early as they were probably getting ready to go out for batting practice, they saw that it's that early offense and trying to get the advantage to allow Sean Manaea to settle in. Well, he goes out basically in the second inning and already has a 6-0 lead. That's a lot more comfortable to navigate against Ohtani and the rest. By the way, that's the statistic that stands out for me in that lineup yesterday. You go from Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith, 0 for 22 with 9 punch-outs yesterday. And bottom of the lineup was the biggest reason why the Dodgers found their way back into that game. We were watching it here, Nick, on the TVs before we started our show. Kike Hernandez, with the bases loaded, tries to beat out a double play ball. It was really close. They went to review. If he finds his way to get that call reversed to his favor. It's 6-4. You've got the go-ahead run coming to the plate, and all hell could have broken loose there for the Mets bullpen. But all's well that ends well. They win 7-3, and now I think their rotation, the Met rotation, is set up really well. Luis Severino going to get the start tomorrow.
Yeah.
Jose Quintana going to get the start on Thursday, on Thursday, for Game 4. And then who knows if it's Kodai Senga. Like, I think a lot depends on what happens in these next 2 days. But if you're a Dodger fan, Walker Buehler's got maybe the biggest start of his Dodger career tomorrow on moving day for the championship series. Winner of usually that Game 3 in a 1-1 scenario is in prime position to go on and win the series. But even think about this other extenuating circumstance. Well, let's say LA wins. They take the 2-1 lead. Then the Dodgers end up dropping Game 4 and Game 5.
Yeah.
Okay, they're down 3-2. They probably are staring a bullpen game for Game 6. Now, either scenario, because they don't have a starter, and Yamamoto's got to start Game 4.
Right.
So they're not going to be able to bring him back on short rest. Jack Flaherty's going to have to start Game 5. And then is it Walker Buehler, who's going to start Game 7 for you? Like, so much to be decided here in the next 48 to 72 hours for where that National League Championship Series goes.
What do you make out of what's going on with Shohei Ohtani? I know, a lot. That's been the big, ESPN, story of the bat has just been a little bit slow, I think, for what some people expected for his first postseason.
And it's different scenarios.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I'm still reading the numbers the way that they are. So with the bases empty, Shohei Ohtani is 0 for 19 in the postseason. Bases empty, 0 for 19. He is 6 for 8 with 5 runs driven in with men on base. So all you got to do is get someone on in front of him, and he's been almost automatic. But if you're pitching to him without anybody on, I can't. It is so hard to wrap my head around for a guy who's going to be the MVP in the National League that is such a stark difference. There's no gray area there. So fascinated to see how he reacts going into harm's way there at Citi Field the next 3 nights, and if there's any change in approach and attack, because obviously the numbers are what they are. So don't change anything if you're the Mets. But you get back to those run-scoring scenarios, how often are they going to actually pitch to him knowing he's been that productive?
And just knowing Shohei, right, the other shoe's going to drop here. I would be hard-pressed to believe he goes 0 for 20 with the bases empty. Yeah. I really would. Like first plate appearance on my DraftKings app, I might have to go, hit.
Extra base.
Yeah, he's getting on one way or another. He's making contact, and he's finding his way on base. I just can't believe that it's been such a stark difference. And obviously, kind of as the Dodgers offense goes, to no one's surprise, is as Shohei Ohtani goes. I mean, when he's on and he's hitting and the numbers back it up, I mean, they win those ball games. And when he's kind of cold and there's nobody on base for him and he's unable to get things going on his own, then the Mets get back in this series.
And Freddie Freeman playing with the ankle injury, I mean, he's doing all he can to try and stay on the field. I mean, the guy can barely run. I was telling you that I had shades of Kirk Gibson horrors coming back to me with Gary Carpenter when he came in and pinch hit in Game 5, and he drives the ball to the wall. I'm like, no way this is happening. Same thing I was looking at with Freddie Freeman trying to gut it out and grind it out with the ankle injury. Obviously not 100%, and still the fact that he's putting great contact still, he's not being able to really drive anything because of the injury. But I wonder what Doc Roberts does, because you can't DH him with Ohtani, and so that's the rub for where the Dodgers are at this point is you got to find a way to win Game 3 or you're up against it with Jose Quintana, who has just been red hot here down the stretch.
He really has been. It'll be so fun to see what happens on that side of the bracket. Obviously, the Gardos got our business to take care of here tonight. But when you look around baseball, and it's really been this way throughout the postseason, there's just a ton of intrigue to me for that Dodger-Mets series because both of those teams are so different. And the Dodgers had to play a little bit of an underdog role to get to this point. And the Mets, we know, had to play a major underdog role. And a piece of me hopes that the Mets can kind of keep this alive.
Yeah.
It's been a dream, run for them, dating all the way back to when they were really dead in the water. And then Grimace throws out the first pitch. I know I keep going back to that. It was just such a funny thing that he throws out the first pitch. They go on that crazy run. Then they slump again. People don't realize they go into a massive slump again, and they're able to rise from the ashes again.
Right.
It's been super fun to watch their entire season. And two, I know a lot of people in Cleveland feel scorned by him. It's been cool to see this out of Francisco Lindor. We talked about it before. It's taken him a long time to really get his feet wet in a Mets uniform, but he has, and he's delivered in so many huge moments for them this October.
Think about just the first couple of seasons, and he was booed pretty profusely, and the performance was not up to the $341 million that he signed. But a lot of that going to go away this year, especially with the season that he had, and at least from the All-Star break on, really putting this team on his back offensively. Now, contributions, of course, from Brandon Nimmo. Mark Vientos, who hits a grand slam in Game 2 of this LCS, has been just a godsend for them as a rookie. JD Martinez, we've seen plenty from his time in Detroit, and what he's done in the middle of not only the Met lineup, but helping mentor a lot of these other young. I mean, you hear young hitters talk about him just and how meticulous he is with his preparation, and a guy that learned from the best. He talks about being around Miguel Cabrera and how integral he was with looking at video and looking at tendencies and really being able to find leverage opportunities. That has now rubbed off on a Mets offense that, hey, they feel like they've got that team of destiny moniker. They feel that now the tide turned after getting up off the mat, landing 2 haymakers early and holding on to get it across the finish line. That scene you're about to see at Citi Field tomorrow, Nick, I'm telling you, I've played in New York before.
Yeah.
These people have been starved. This is why Steve Cohen spent a boatload of money to try and get a team put together to get to this point. It is going to be bananas at Citi Field tomorrow.
And they know they were the laughing stock for a long time, even at times throughout this year, for the amount of money that they spent on that payroll.
2 years ago, highest payroll, didn't even make the tournament.
And they weren't seeing any results, and look at them now. You know, they really have an opportunity. We talk about our series being David versus Goliath. That actually is, but they have an opportunity to take down the real Goliath,
Sure.
the team that spends $1 billion this offseason. Man, we're having a ton of fun here hanging out at Lakewood Truck Park. Come on down. We're inside, decked out in Halloween decor. I love it. It's October. It's playoff baseball. It's Halloween. We're having a ton of fun, brought to you guys by Lipton Hard Iced Tea. Follow us on social media at BIGPLAY. You could tweet him at JLou50. I'm at Nick Padone 12. Straight ahead, we're getting you guys ready. Game 2, American League Championship Series, Cleveland Guardians versus New York Yankees. Don't go anywhere. More of the BIGPLAY pregame show right after this. Welcome on back into the Big Play pregame show. Having some fun out here at the Lakewood Truck Park. Doing a little trivia, Jensen. How about that?
I think we
finally found a contestant.
I think we have a gentle sir who would be up for the task. So what do we got?
Cool. You want to introduce yourself here?
Sure. My name is Charlie.
Charlie, you from Lakewood?
I currently live in Lakewood now, originally from North Olmsted.
North Olmsted.
Okay.
Awesome. How long you been a Cleveland baseball fan?
My whole life. My dad had season tickets since I was born until 2002. And then just go to as many games as I can.
Nice.
So,
Love it.
So you've been to then the Jake and,
yeah.
and now Progressive Field.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so
Spent a lot of time
So
there.
we probably have the full menu of Guardians trivia available. I think Charlie up for the task here.
For sure. I think we're going to do every question you get right. We'll give you 3. Every question you get right, I think we'll hook you up with a can of Lipton Hard Iced Tea. How's that sound?
All right. That sounds good.
All righty. I'll lead things off. Which team has Cleveland faced most often in the playoffs? Is it the Red Sox? Is it the Yankees? Or is it the Mariners?
I'm going to go with Red Sox.
Ooh.
All right, that's a swing and a miss.
Swing and a miss on
number
question
one.
number one. It is the New York Yankees.
I was hoping it was a trick one.
All good. All good.
This is what I used to do with Beer Buddy. It was like, all right, let me get you across the first one, and then we'll be good to go.
Yeah, we're settling in here now.
All right, so you have been – do you remember what year your first game was at Jacobs Field?
Yeah, it was the 94 home
94. Okay, good. So
Bill
this one
Clinton
applies.
threw it out.
All right, so who did Cleveland face in their first ever playoff game at Jacobs Field? I will give you 3 choices, Red Sox, Orioles, or Yankees. And I'll give you a hint. It did go extra innings. First ever playoff game at then Jacobs Field.
I know that ALCS in 95 was the Mariners.
It's an AL East team.
Good hint there.
I'm going to have to say...
I'll eliminate one for you. It's not the Orioles.
Thanks. I'm going to have to say the Red Sox.
Yes.
The Red Sox.
Yes. Charlie,
There we
well
go.
done.
All right. We're 1 for 2 here. Here's our chance to go 2 for 3, win this thing. Who did Cleveland defeat in the 1948 World Series?
Oh, wow. That's like a $100 beer money question right here. Your choices are the Brooklyn Dodgers, the Boston
Thanks,
Braves, or the St. Louis Cardinals.
St. Louis Cardinals? Oh, Brooklyn Braves.
No.
Oh, my God.
Boston.
Braves. You know what? 1 for 3. That's usually Hall of Fame territory right there.
That's respectable.
Let's do one more. I'll give it one more.
I love it.
This one you've got to get. If you don't, then we've clearly been
I have
overserved.
to leave the truck park.
Who did Cleveland beat in the American League Championship Series to advance to the 2016 World Series?
Oh, the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yes.
Toronto Blue
Get
Jays.
this
I
man
love
a
it.
Lipton
All
Hard
right.
Iced Tea.
We're batting 500 with 2 Lipton Hard Iced Teas.
Charlie, before we let you go, because I think we have another contestant as well. She's getting ready. Okay, even better. Best moment for you so far this year from this team?
Best moment for me had to have been last Saturday. I was in the bleachers.
Were
when
you really?
Lane Thomas
Oh, wow.
did the
Were
grand
you
slam.
really?
Oh, we were going nuts.
How far
Yeah.
were you from it?
It was one section over. I was in like 117 in the bleachers. Oh, yeah. It was, and that ball looked like it was in slow motion. Everyone's just like, come on, come on, come on.
Can I tell you a funny story? So my record, at least as a player and as a fan or media member now, in winner take all games is not very good when I'm in the ballpark. So I wanted no part of going down there. It's a superstitious part of me. The only regret I have that day when it happened, I had my Apple Watch on, so I got the notification like 30 seconds before it happened. And I swear to God, we had our phones turned over, like I'm not going to watch it, not going to look at it. And I looked down, and I looked at my better half, Michelle, and I'm like, she goes, what happened? I'm like, I'm not saying anything. So I wanted to see how, like, okay, I knew what happened. Like, where did he hit it? How did it happen? So I've got to take this off now.
I was in the same boat. That was my 6th game this year, and we had lost the previous 5.
Really?
I was
Wow.
Off the schneid. You're a streak breaker. We love it.
I love it. Thanks so much for
We need
playing.
a prediction. We
need a prediction
All right, yeah.
for tonight and then for the series.
I mean, we got 2 aces going up right now, so I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Okay.
I think our Gardos are going to pull it out.
Okay.
I'm going to say 3-2.
Wow.
Yeah.
But we're going to come out swinging. I think we're going to get our first few runs within the first few innings, which is what we need to do,
Love
and
it.
then go to the bullpen and have them close it out.
This dude's listening.
Awesome.
Charlie was
He's
listening on the way over.
Listen to the Big Play
Verbatim.
pregame show.
Love
Appreciate
it.
you popping on. Enjoy those Lipton Hard Iced Teas. It's been a lot of fun.
Charlie,
Thank you, guys. Have
thanks,
a good one.
dude.
Thanks for having me
Appreciate
on.
it.
Go
Appreciate it.
Guards. Go Guards. We're getting this win.
Oh, wow.
A lot of fun. Big Play trivia.
Good start.
Good start. Super good start.
All right.
Having a lot of fun out here
we have
at
our
the
next
Lakewood Truck Park. I think we're
next contestant. Come on down. Yes.
I think contested
prep?
in progress.
Contested in prep. You'll give us the go.
All right.
Give us the go.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Whenever the next contestant pops up, we will be ready.
Beautiful.
Man, a lot of fun hanging out here in Lakewood. Come on down to the Lakewood Truck Park. We're going to be here every game throughout the American League Championship Series. We're here all throughout the American ALDS. Jensen, I got to tell you, I haven't even had the opportunity to tell you. So I stayed here, watched Game 5 here. When Lane Thomas hit that home run,
Whole place went nuts.
whole place complete. It was so funny because I was outside. I was still outside,
Yep.
and like outside was pandemonium. And then I looked. I was like, I wonder what it's like in here. People were just running around like fists flying. It was tremendous.
It's straight out of Major League, right? Where they have the bar scene and everyone's hugging everybody. And
It was here.
You got the punk rocker, like what looks like the truck driver, and they just look at each other like, okay, never mind, whatever. Let me hug you. Euphoria. That's the best word I have to describe it. Hopefully we got more heroics like that coming up here in this series.
And I love the sentiment from our guy Charlie, who's clearly been listening to us here on the pregame show. Like, get a lead. Go out there and get a lead.
Yeah.
Score some runs early in this one. And I think we'll be sitting with a lot lower heart rates as this game progresses
You
here
have
today.
to, and I think that's the biggest key is just have that ability to channel it. Good numbers, as we talked about with Quan, with Jose Ramirez, with Josh Naylor against Garrett Cole. It's the thing. You just can't let him get settled in. That's why I think the first inning is so critical if they're going to win tonight.
All right, I think we've got another contestant that's ready.
Come on over.
Come on over.
Love
Loop it around.
Fantastic.
Love it.
Hi.
What's your name?
Alex.
Alex, nice
Alex
to meet you.
Jensen, nice to meet you.
Put the headset on.
All right, Charlie went 2 for 4.
2 for 4, solid.
2 for 4.
All right, first, give us the confidence level coming into trivia, and then we'll hit you with some other questions before we get started.
Yeah, so for trivia,
Yeah. How confident
tonight,
are you?
pretty confident.
Okay. Okay. How long you been a Guards fan?
Well, actually, I'm originally not from here.
Okay.
But recently, a couple years ago, moved to Ohio.
Okay.
And I love the Guardians. I was actually at that game on Saturday.
Were you really?
Wow,
Yeah.
so we're 2 for 2 for people
Yeah.
that are here on Saturday on trivia.
It was
as well?
an epic game. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
The energy was crazy. It was a great experience. Yeah.
Were you originally from them?
I'm originally from California.
Okay, so
Okay.
did you have a team that you followed out there or no?
Yeah, like the Giants.
Okay.
but-
Okay.
All right, not
Yep,
bad.
yep,
Yeah.
Good
yep,
history. All
yeah,
right.
but
you-
now that I'm here, like the fans here are awesome, and it's different.
Pretty
than out
into
there.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very
Love
good.
it.
All right, Nick, let's go. What do we
Yeah,
got?
we're going to get started with some Cleveland Guardians trivia here.
Okay, guys.
I'm going to start you off with the same question that we finished Charlie off
Okay,
with.
I like that.
Who did Cleveland beat in the American League Championship Series to advance to the 2016 World Series? Was it the Toronto Blue Jays? Was it the Red Sox? Or was it the New York Yankees?
Well, I don't know if they beat the Yankees or not.
You are correct. They did not beat the
I'm
Yankees.
feeling
Pro-
like it's been
pro-
rough lately with that.
Yeah.
Process of elimination, we've eliminated one.
Well said.
Okay, tell me the other two again.
All right, so our two remaining, now that we've eliminated the Yankees, are the Toronto Blue Jays and the Boston Red Sox.
Okay, guys, I don't think I was during that time super aware of the Guardians and
Okay.
everything, so I'm just
Yeah.
going to guess on
They
this one.
weren't even
50-50.
called the Guardians
And,
then.
so, the Blue Jays.
Oh
The
my
Blue
God!
Jays!
Let's go.
We're 1 for 1
She's
on trivia.
I don't know if she's on shift, but
And
we
we're on
might
the
have to
board.
get her to have a sippy.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here we go. Oh, yes. That's what I'm talking about. Very good. All right, so you said that you just started watching the Guardians last year?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to make up a trivia question
Okay,
on the fly
yeah.
here. Okay. Who was our leadoff hitter on opening day last year?
Oh, no.
So the first
The
batter.
first batter for our lineup.
Oh, no. I don't know why I feel like I'm so bad at this trivia. I was, like, kind of confident. Oh, no. I'm just going to guess.
Let me give you 3 options. Okay.
I have one in my head, but I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Steven Kwan,
Okay.
Andreas Jimenez, or Jose Ramirez?
I don't know why, but when you initially said that question, I was thinking Quan.
Oh, my gosh.
But I didn't want to say it and be wrong. I didn't want to.
We are 2 for 2. Give her that second one.
2 for 2.
We may have to have a bottle come over here if this is a 3 for 3 scenario.
Yeah.
Very well done. Okay,
Alrighty.
there's 2 for 2.
There's 2 for 2. And then here is our third one in the finale. We'll go recent as well.
Okay.
Who did Stephen Vogt replace as manager for the Cleveland Guardians?
Good question.
Was it Manny Acta? Was it Terry Francona? Or was it JB Bickerstaff?
The third name sounds, I don't know about that one yet.
Suspect.
Okay.
Third one suspect.
So let's hear those two again.
So then the other two were Manny Acta and Terry Francona. Who did Stephen Vogt replace as manager of the Cleveland Guardians this year?
Ooh. Wait, one more time. Okay, wait. The first. Hold on. First two.
Yep. We got Manny Acta. We have Terry Francona, and we have JB Bickerstaff was the third.
I feel like she's eliminated JB Bickerstaff.
Yeah, I think.
That would be a smart decision. Yes.
Let's go with number 2.
Terry Francona.
Francona, that's correct. A clean sweep on Lipton Hard Iced Tea Trivia. We're on fire over here. We are on fire.
Now we need a bunch of shots. Yeah.
All right, we need a prediction. We need a prediction out of you, Alex. What's going to happen in this game today for the Guards?
They're going to win.
Yeah. You have the final score in mind?
Final score? They've been coming back pretty good. So I feel like maybe it's going to be like 6-2.
6-2 in New York.
I'm feeling they might, or maybe 4-2. But I'm hoping they, what happened on Saturday was incredible.
Yeah.
So they could easily just rack up those points super quick. I mean, you never know. Anything is possible. And they're really, really good players on this team, guys. So,
I'll tell you right.
Yeah.
We have the replay, and thank you for many of you watching our shows after we've been done with the live. If she gets a grant, she get 3 questions right.
3 for 3. And then the Guards win 6-2.
I mean, that'd be golden. I mean, they did what did they do? Was it 7? Was it 7 on Saturday? What was the score?
Yes, correct.
So we know it's possible.
It is.
It is
so
possible.
I'm ready for it. I'm excited for this game.
And if you hit that, we'll be back to the Lakewood Truck Park for the winning lottery numbers as well on Thursday for Saturday's drawing. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I have faith, guys. I have faith.
Alex, thank you so much.
3 for
Very
3
nice
on
meeting you.
trivia.
Thanks for coming over.
Thanks,
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's chug those Lipton hard iced teas. We need a refill. Bartender need a refill.
Yeah, no kidding. We're having a lot of fun hanging out here in Lakewood at the Lakewood Truck Park. Huge thanks to Charlie. Huge thanks to Alex. Job well done. And a 6-2 final score prediction would be an offensive explosion for our Gardos out there in New York.
We felt really good about Game 5. We all were kind of across the board as far as what the scores would be. I remember telling you, though, I'm like, there's no way. Like, we were building that parlay.
Yeah.
And we're saying,
the over was so low.
An alternate total of like under 10.5. There's no way there's 10 runs, and bang, they just explode. I think you have to score. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, and it bears repeating. When you go to Yankee Stadium, I've always been of the mindset first team to 4. First team to 4 wins the game. Obviously, last night. That was New York, and I don't anticipate the wildness again from our pitching staff. If it happens, dear God, it's just not meant to be there.
Yeah.
And they need to get home so they can get right. But, yeah, I think that's probably the one thing you focus on tonight early. And I'll repeat it for people just joining us. 2 games in 1 tonight. First 3 innings for the Guardians, and then the final 6. And I hope it doesn't go farther than that, because I think they got to win it in regulation with the big 4 that they're going to run out there. Big time.
I think we see a more dialed back Guards club today. I think we see a team that's maybe a little bit more ready for the moment out there at Yankee Stadium, and altogether really excited for this performance. And obviously today we've got the Battle of the Aces. It's Garrett Cole and Tanner Bybee, and I just love this spot. We talked about it in the first hour for Tanner, where it's just familiar territory. Stakes are higher. It's a championship series, but he's the guy that's been able to keep the Guards afloat all year long, especially when you look at the turmoil that's kind of happened since he made his major league debut. I mean, he's seen a lot of pitching talent kind of cycle its way through Cleveland, and now he's been the mainstay guy that we can lean and rely on. Really cool to see in a short amount of time for Tanner here in the majors.
Something to focus on for people watching tonight, and it's just one pitch for him. His slider usage against right-handed hitters, and against Soto, Judge, and Stanton in particular. If you line up those 3 guys combined, against right-handed sliders this year. They hit combined just 230. So that will be a pivotal pitch in Tanner's arsenal tonight, predicated obviously on got to get ahead, got to be able to change eye level. But I look for that pitch a lot in 2-strike counts, kind of down and in to Soto, away from the big part of the barrel for Judge and Stanton. If that happens, then I think Tanner's in great shape.
And then for Cleveland, for our offense, what do they have to do to get after Garrett Cole? Again, we talked about it in the first hour. Cleveland bats have had some decent success against Garrett Cole, especially the top of that order. Kwan's taken him deep once. Naylor's had a ton of success against him, especially with the long ball, and Jose Ramirez as well. What do you look for out of the Guardians to get after Garrett Cole? And we keep talking about Jensen. Get after him earlier in this ball game.
Yeah, and again, driving the ball here, and as we talked about down the lines, you can get some cheapy home runs. Not to say that that's what you're – I mean, we'd love that, no question about it.
100%.
But another statistic maybe to follow here, Garrett Cole started the year on the IL, only made 19 starts. He gave up 15 stolen bases, so about 1 per start. And that we know has been a big part of the Guardian offense throughout the year, top 5 in baseball in stolen bases with 148. That might be something. Create some chaos. Get him into the stretch. Have him be worried about traffic and then make a mistake over the big part of the plate. You do that, you might be in business, but I'm with you. It's got to happen, I think, that first time around the lineup before he settles in.
Crazy to think that we are just about 30 minutes away from the first pitch out there at Yankee Stadium for Game 2 of the American League Championship Series between our Cleveland Guardians and the New York Yankees. Jensen, we gotta put a parlay in here.
Bets?
We got some bets to do.
You wanna break and then we'll figure some out?
We're straight ahead.
Okay.
We're putting together a same game parlay, and if you followed us at all throughout the division series,
you made money.
Your sportsbook balance is doing all right because we put a couple juicy parlays together. On the other half, we'll get you guys our Game 2 same game parlay. Don't go anywhere. More of the Big Play pregame show right after this. Welcome on back into the Big Play pregame show. I am Nick Padone. He is Jensen Lewis, taking you guys all the way up until first pitch of the American League Championship Series between the Cleveland Guardians and New York Yankees. Game 2, Jensen, today, and we're brought to you guys by our friends over at Northeast Factory Direct. Huge shout out to Northeast Factory. They've been with us all baseball season long on the Bringing the Heat segment, and they truly have the best quality products at an unbelievable price. And they have your whole house covered, folks. Kitchen cabinets, bedroom sets, dining room tables, hot tubs, sofas, so much more. You could shop online anytime by going to northeastfactorydirect.com or visit them in store. Cleveland, Euclid, Macedonia, North Canton. It is truly a unique furniture buying experience. They've got the inventory right there. No delivery time, none of that headache that goes into your typical furniture buying. If you're looking for even better deal, check out one of their outlet centers in Euclid or Canton. Make sure to ask about that big play bonus for an extra special hookup. You're going to be glad that you did. Our bets have been hot, Jensen, and it's time to keep that alive today for Game 2 of this championship series. You put it out there on social media this morning, must-win game. I'm looking to sprinkle Gardo's money line in the parlay today. I think I really am.
All right, so if we were going to build this thing out, Guardians plus 140 at the moment. I'll tell you, I do like Cole under 5.5 strikeouts. I just feel like this offense will not allow as many 2-strike counts, or at least not allow him to get into the advantage counts to create those strikeout opportunities. So I think there'll be action early. I think they'll be swinging. So I like the under 5.5.
Yeah, and you look at if you look at what we've talked about throughout the entire show today, it's getting after Garrett Cole early. I like the under on that as well.
All right, so for that, and I, to me, and this kind of goes back to what you and I talked about with Tanner in that Game 4 start, is we just didn't know how quickly Stephen Vogt might go to that bullpen to try and stem any run-scoring opportunities. So I would stay away from Bobby strikeouts. What I would like to get on, though, and I think if they're going to win, it kind of correlates here with your Guardians' money line. I think you have to absolutely be looking at Ramirez and Josh Naylor, and however you want to go about it. I mean, I think Ramirez hit right now is minus 190, so that brings us to plus 425.
Wow.
Naylor got to get off the schneid at some point here, minus 170. So that's 6-1 right there. Guards money line, Cole under 5.5, Ramirez and Naylor to get a hit.
I like that.
Okay.
Super simple.
Done.
Super simple, Jensen Lewis.
Done.
I'm a big fan of that, and I think that's the recipe for a Guardians win today. And obviously, we've gone crazier on the bets before, and we've done total bases, and you can sprinkle in some RBI and stuff like that as well. But it's got to be, in my mind today, it's got to be Jose. It's got to be Naylor. Any contribution that you get out of the other guys, in my opinion, is added. It's extra credit. You know, if I could get more out of Lane Thomas in this game too, beautiful. If Brian Rocchio can stay hot, which, geez, he just continues to hit the baseball, even more of a bonus. But for me, it's got to be the All-Stars for Cleveland today.
All right, so if you want to get crazy, and we like to just throw this out completely at everyone's discretion, Ramirez hit a homer and Naylor to hit a homer together 14-1.
So they both go yard.
Yeah.
I mean, if that happens, then you got to throw Guardians money line in it too, because it's for sure a win.
Just saying
14-1 on its own is super fun, and I think I just go back to that Mickey Mouse Stadium and that little right field wall. Like, we've seen how many times Jose Ramirez at Progressive Field this year. I feel like he's got to lead the league in almost home runs. You know, that just came just inches short of that yellow stripe on the top of the wall at Progressive Field. Man, at Yankee Stadium, that's a no-doubter into this 8th row of seats. Like, crazy.
That's why I think you look at the lefty early lineup tonight, and we know Kyle Manzardo will be in the 2 spot as the designated hitter. Will Brennan is going to be in that bottom third of the lineup. The lefties, for whatever reason tonight, if you're going to beat Cole, I think that's the side of the plate you got to be. I mean, he's going to be really, really tough on the right-handed hitters. Lane Thomas being kind of pushed back down to that 5 spot. No surprise. This is how Stephen Vogt has really constructed the lineup in games past when it's a right-handed starter. All that being said, too, is I go back to, Tanner Bybee going to have to be very, very solid from pitch number 1. Remove kind of any fear factor and just let it all hang out. I mean, you're a guy that has to not give a superhuman effort. You need to be the normal guy we've seen in these scenarios before. Don't try and do too much. The adrenaline will be there from that stadium and that atmosphere. It will be, honestly, unlike any he's ever pitched in.
Yeah.
And it will be fun to see how he reacts tonight.
I'm very excited, and if we know anything about Tanner Bybee, it's that he gets up for these big moments. I know, and we both knew ahead of time, he was so amped for that Game 4 against the Tigers and what it meant to the ball club. Similar opportunity for him tonight. Keep this series alive, keep this season alive, tie this thing at 1-1, and Progressive Field is going to be rocking on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Love the structure of this as well. In Cleveland, entire weekend. Man, don't need me. I'll be here at the Lakewood Truck Park for some playoff baseball.
Yeah, and remember, for people that want to come out and do not have tickets on Thursday, that's a 5:08 first pitch.
Yeah.
We'll be here 3 to 5. And it's looking like the end of this week is going to be great weather.
Clearing up, baby, and sunshine's coming back out for us a little bit.
That's going to be
awesome.
awesome. Yeah, so we know for sure Thursday. We know for sure Friday, 8:08 first pitch, and finally under the lights to get these guys a well-deserved national audience there. I really love the opportunity tonight for both starters, and I think they sense the moment, and the numbers are where they are as far as Garrett Cole and his dominance against Cleveland. So if I'm the Guardian offense, I have to throw that out. I have to impose my will if I'm them. I have to get off 2 good A swings in at bat. I cannot allow him to get to 2 strikes, be able to elevate with that power fastball, throw his breaking ball off of it. You get to that point. We saw what Carlos Rodon did last night. He forced the Guardians to really expand their strike zone. So difficult to try and be ready for 98 and react off trying to get 88 in the slider with the amount of movement and the late movement that he had last night. And a lot of people on social media were like, oh, they were completely undisciplined. I'm like, well, they were kind of forced into that, being behind 3-0, 4-0. Trust me, man, it's hard to be able to be ready for those triple digits and then have the wherewithal to cover both sides of the plate. That's where Rodon's slider was last night. So hopefully they can get to Cole early tonight.
And late in this game, we know how good the Yankees bullpen is, and that was fully on display last night. And it was awesome to talk with Dan Grassa earlier in the show to just really speak to the longevity of how impressive that Yankee bullpen has been. Jensen, what do you think they could do late in this game? We talked about it. No more taking the bat out of David Fry's hand, especially late in the game. I wonder if they put the bat into David Fry's hand at some point later in this one.
That's where I think we find really the time when that game goes into the balance.
Yeah.
I think last night showed Stephen Vogt I got to have at least one good guy in the 9th inning to be able to go to. And, you know, if you wait for David Fry at that point, fine. Like at some point, Kyle Manzardo and Will Brennan have to get a hit off a lefty. And more importantly, though, Nick, they've got to be afforded the opportunity to do that. You are down a position player with the way that you constructed this LCS roster. So I hope people remember that as they're down one extra position guy. Angel Martinez was swapped out for Pedro Avila. And also, if you're just joining us, Ben Lively now on the roster, Alex Cobb out with a back injury. So Cobb is done. He will not be eligible for the World Series either. Something to keep in mind, okay? If we end up moving forward, Cobb's not going to be eligible. Ben Lively would be. I think they have to, and Stephen Vogt has to be mindful of, I got to have that one piece left. I've got to have that one bullet to fire if I need it against a Luke Weaver. And even though it'll be a right-on-right matchup, he's still that guy that's been clutch for you late. I get it. Will Brennan by the averages has been your best average pinch hitter, but that has to also factor into Manzo and Brennan. Give him the opportunity. You're going to infuse a bit more confidence in him, Nick. You're like, all right, I trust you guys. Yeah. And I trust you guys late. Don't be looking over your shoulder for that right-handed bat to possibly come in.
And we talked about that, Jensen, all throughout the division series. As we were so excited to see Kyle Manzardo finally get an opportunity, and we thought we had it. And then that was that goofy game where Detroit kind of pulled a fast one, if you will, and then Vogt got in his bag early. We didn't even get to see those guys get their normal at-bats. So I agree. I think consistency plays big across sports, but in baseball especially, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I really do think the more we see out of Manzardo, the more comfortable he's going to be, and I think that could be big. We talked about it too throughout the Detroit series. Somebody else was going to have to be the hero. At the end of the day, there was a hero, and his name was Lane Thomas. I think in this series, who knows? Maybe it could be Kyle Manzardo. We know he's got the power.
Yep.
Poke one over that right field wall, and things get really fun in this game today.
Guy we still haven't heard a lot from either, John Kenzie Noel. That's another good bullet off the bench.
Yeah.
And I think that'll also be a little bit of the tightrope walk. When do you have John Kenzie be a factor? And is he someone that you leave in the field knowing he's got the bazooka of an arm and could cut down guys trying to take the extra 90 feet or throw a guy out trying to score? Always a lot in motion here from that standpoint. Yeah, Will has been pretty solid.
Yeah.
But a late game scenario, you need to have a huge throw. John Kenzie's already showed you that he can do it.
He can absolutely do it, and not to mention, that's a guy that could poke one out really easily.
And doesn't need to get all of it either.
No, not in that stadium by any stretch. So we're amped for this one, Jensen. We're closing in on first pitch, and you know what that means. It's final prediction time as we wrap up the Big Play pregame show live here from the Lakewood Truck Park. We got Guardians money line in the parlay. I think we're both going to pick them to win today.
I think I'll go two ways. The Yankees win today and go up 2-0 if the Guardians cannot score 2 runs off Garrett Cole.
Agreed.
You have got to hit 3 or more if you're going to have a real opportunity to force Aaron Boone into his bullpen. I think the Yankees end up also finding a way to win this game if you end up giving Stanton another opportunity to do damage. And I would also circle Soto. 3 straight games with an RBI. He has been absolutely on fire throughout the end of the season and into this postseason. So Soto's my guy that can't beat you tonight. I know, again, you see plenty of the A right-handers, so I'm not as worried about Stanton. Soto's the guy I circle tonight, can't beat you.
We keep talking about it. You take away Aaron Judge. You take away Juan Soto. Don't let Giancarlo Stanton beat you.
Yep.
We've talked about that earlier in the show. This Yankee lineup is not that impressive at all. So if you could find a way to neutralize those 2 guys, I like Cleveland's chances, and mine is going to be the same. Score first in this game.
Yeah.
Score first in this game. I think it plays huge for momentum, especially after what happened last night, and really just no more errors. I really think that whatever that was yesterday isn't going to happen again today. I think that goes without saying that the wild pitch thing won't be an issue. I really like Cleveland's chances in this one today. Should we go final score time?
Yeah, and I'll add one more caveat here.
Cool.
We talked about the statistics too, where the Yankees are averaging 7 walks offensively. You're getting 7 free passes a game in this postseason, and I mean that's. You're not beating them.
Yeah.
You give them that many extra opportunities to score and to put up a crooked number, that's just asking for absolute trouble. So there's another statistic for you tonight. Guardians can win this game if it's 3 walks or fewer from the pitching staff. You got to cut that number in half, even more so, especially in harm's way on the road. I think this bullpen ends up finding, probably 4+ innings tonight if Tanner has to have some high pitch count innings early on. But my final thing, 2 games in 1. Got to win the first 3, and then you may be holding on for dear life for the last 6.
Yeah, and I'm ready for it, man. Playoff baseball. Don't make mistakes because the Yankees will make you pay for them. That's one thing that I think we've learned so far. And then when you've got opportunities, capitalize on them. I really think get those runs across early, get them across often. I've got the Guardians winning this one. Final score, 4-1.
Wow. Yeah, I could see a lower scoring game, but I could also see like haymakers from both offenses just coming out and just not letting either starter try and get settled in here. I said if the Guardians win, Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor got to be heard from tonight in a big way. If Tanner can't get deep in this game, I think you're asking Stephen Vogt to go chips in the middle. And, you hope to not see Cade Smith before the 5th inning. It may come to that if they have a lead. But I think you see multiple frames from those guys. If the Guardians have a lead after that 3rd inning, I think Stephen Vogt has a quick hook.
Man, we are amped for this Game 2 today. Huge thanks to everyone for tuning in to the Big Play pregame show. Make sure to throw us a follow out there on social media at Big Play. We appreciate all your guys' support. Huge thanks to the Lakewood Truck Park for having us out. And I think, Jensen, it's Pug Night here today. There's a little pug. There's pugs all over the place. It's been a ton of fun doing the show inside from here. Huge thanks to Lipton Hard Iced Tea. Huge thanks to Universal Windows Direct. Huge thanks to Northeast Factory Direct. We'll be back here in Lakewood for Game 3 of